to introduce Tokanawia Devatine from the Centre de Recherche Insulaire et Observatoire de l'Environnement in Tahiti. And he's going to be speaking about integrated indigenous management of land and marine protected areas in Taiarapu, Tahiti. Thank you, Tokai.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for inviting me here and for the chance to do my presentation today with you. So sorry for my English, it's worse than Google's Translate, but I wish you understand. Okay, since now only few studies has been realized on the social and ecological resilience, paying attention on that reality. By social and ecological resilience, we mean the capacity of a social and ecological system to resist to modification without changing the structure, the function, the feedback and identity, and to stay flexible facing the evolution of the environment and social context. So our previous studies permitted us to define a fieldwork which included both the Teahupoo district and Tautira district in Taiarapu regarding of the cultural goals which link the two districts since the ancient time. The problems about the access of the resources and the space on a close kind of territory, so Teahupoo and Tautira. So the conflicts about lagoon resources, goals linked to the use of lands between the two frontiers. So these a few frontiers here, inhabited land here, who problems appear between the two districts. The fact that those two territories associated will face in the next decades in increasing urbanization in the part of the this part of the island. So there is a new port, industrial zone, etc. In here, a new city is being building. Okay, the context in Tahiti, so inhabitants of Taiarapu are strongly dependent on marine and terrestrial resources, and less marine environmental resources due to human activity. So they have the combination of agriculture practices, excessive fisheries, modification of the coastlines. So we see here the agriculture activity. You see a lot of field here who impact the environment in the lagoon. Like in those cases when there is a lot of rain, so the earth, the ground goes in the rivers and on the lagoon. This is the artificialization, construction modification of the line coast by people. So Teahupoo, Taiarapu is known to be the last preserved place in Tahiti, but we see that there is a problem of modification of the coastlines with all those collective or individual work building near the lagoon. So the other context of what comes after those contexts is the strong request from the community in Teahupoo to build the management plan for their territory. So they ask in the thousand to build a marine area management plan, but because of the feeling of the population, for the feeling they couldn't use the lagoon for fishing, the population didn't participate to the work, and the project failed. So the French law about public area belonging to everyone is clearly associated with an anti-Tahitian legislation. This cultural conception is confronted to the French state organization of the land, which separate the marine space and the land space. This means nothing in the Polynesian cultural understanding of the territory. But this separation is rejected by the population of Teahupoo because it's putting in danger the social and cultural reproduction of the group and also deconstruct one of the bases of the Polynesian identity. At reverse, the people from Teahupoo, in their interviews, propose an alternative way of thinking, mentioning the rahui, that could work for both land and marine resources and spaces. So what is the rahui? In the past, before the arrival of the encounters in Tahiti, the rahui was a political and religious institution made by ancient rules. There were more restrictions than rights. Those restrictions were sacred. Someone who didn't respect it were punished, banished, or killed. The rahui couldn't be separated nor from the ancient Polynesian society structure, neither from the nature of the authority of the chief. The rahui was closely linked with the tapu. This tapu was decided for some species on the land or in the sea, in decided places and for a certain time according to the chief or the tahua. The tahua is the expert who make the link between the spirit and the living. The rahui was also a political instrument which permitted the management of the future with an ecological connotation. The main goal of the rahui was political. It served to renew an abundant and prestigious circulation of food. This circulation imposed restriction to be able to demonstrate the reality of a chief's power and the reality of the social network at the right moment. With the installation of the missionaries, then French annexion, rahui lost its sacred importance. So, distinct from the old one, the new rahui was about, for people in Teahupoo, was about determining the borders of the MPA, Marine Protected Area, in order to create a natural reserve for biological resources. So they keep in mind the ecologic connotation as the main important things in the rahui. So it was to elaborate the management based on rahui to ensure the sustainability of exploited species. So in certain ways, certain species at certain time. And to foster the cooperation of every actor involved in the integrated management of the marine protected area to goal the objectives. So the general objective of the study was to study the local system of management of natural resources from the land to the sea to ensure the future of the resources in the respect of cultural identities. The methodological principle was to organize the studies with the people concretely. The investigation were about the name of places, history, local knowledge, traditional ecologic knowledge, economic activities, wishes about the management of the resources and the priorities. Okay, I go faster. So there is 2 points. The social and cultural investigation were really important to identify the stakeholder, to cartograph the human and cultural organization. So here are the tahua, the resources person. We meet people, fishermen, agricultures, many times. So an investigation in ecological investigation. So about the land, the marine territories, the land, the resource, and the usage of the territory and the resources. Investigation about the natural and the anthropic risks in order to elaborate management. So those two approaches were combined. And to study, so that we combine local and scientific knowledge in order to understand the territory and build a community based on managed area, included land and history. Okay, this is all some maps I'd like to show you about all the information we took with all the people we interview for many months. It's about the fishermen everywhere, one kind of fish they take. So this map is important because it shows the link, the continuity between so the earth and the lagoon in the Polynesian way of thinking. We have different maps with high cultural places, and that's a synthesis of all the Taiarapu, with all the cultural and ecological knowledge. So the result, and I finished. So the people were agreed to take this option for a protected area who manage for sustainable uses and the natural ecosystems. So this is the territory they protected. And what's important is they have a committee, the management committee with Population Administration Association. There is a scientific council and administration who verify the application of the management plan. So what is new in this approach with the integrated, in that study? So it was the first application of a management inspired by rahui, supported by a strong legal tool, and the decision made by local actors adapt to evolution of the nature resource, their needs, and their active participation to the management of the area concerned. And then it was the possibility to determine zone and the divergence legal reglementation, more severe or more flexible, depending on the goals. We search in the different spaces. Thank you for listening to me.